Obafemi Hamzat is raising alarm over outrageous electricity billing, revealing his official residence was slammed with a 29 million naira bill in April, up from 2.7 million naira in March. He disclosed this at an event hosted by the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources in partnership with the Rural Electrification Agency. Speaking on behalf of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Hamzat condemned the billing system, describing it as exploitative and frustrating. "I bought a meter to avoid estimated billing, yet activation has been impossible," he said. He cited another resident in Koka Aguda, Sulurere, billed 2.8 million naira, more than their 2 million naira annual rent. He praised Energy Commissioner Biodun Ogunleye for driving the new renewable energy partnership with ROEA aimed at solarizing off-grid communities. The MOU focuses on building decentralized energy infrastructure, joint technical assessments, capacity building and investment facilitation to provide sustainable electricity alternatives to Lagosians and reduce dependence on fossil fuels and generators. Governor Sanwo-Olu said poor electricity supply remains a massive constraint, pushing homes and businesses to rely heavily on expensive generators. Lagos has 4.5 million generators, he said. We generate enough power, but distribution remains broken. We need a new framework. He directed the Energy Minister to work closely with the CDAs and CDCs for grassroots energy projects. A 2025 economic report revealed that Lagos residents and businesses spend 5.3 trillion naira annually powering generators. Only 31% of households are connected to the national grid, forcing 69% to rely on alternative power. Officials say the new partnership offers hope for change. This summit was attended by the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, and he had this to say as regards the tariff he accrued for his apartment, moving from 2.7 million naira in March to 200 plus in April. What are your thoughts on this report?
It's quite a funny one. I know it's not a funny situation, but why I say it's funny is because if a deputy cannot get a prepaid meter activated for his use, then we can see the fate of the ordinary Nigerian.
Right. Do we now say the rich also cry?
Yeah, basically. And maybe this time around, since the rich is crying, they would listen to them. Because we have been crying about this for a long time, even before the whole Band A thing came around and all of that. It was more or less the same thing. Now, the issue of the estimated billing system is one thing to look at. What's the metrics? What's the estimation about? Because the man is crying out that he was paying 2 million, now he's paying 20. That's like, I don't know, that's times 10.
Right.
How is that calculated? How is that? Even these monies that people pay. I've even heard of a colleague, his company used to pay 400,000 and all of that. All of a sudden became 5 million.
Do you think this tariff movement they've actually happened because of the band sharing? Do you think that has aided the fact that the bills have become a lot more amplified than it normally would?
Yes, that I feel. Well, what I feel, right? That's what the energy companies, the energy organization told us that, okay, we are going to share these things into band, and if you fall under this band, right, you pay this amount, But still, when you even pay this amount, I mean, for those that do not even have meter, if you don't even have power during this period of, 30 days, which is like monthly payments, you are still charged the same thing, give or take the same 4 million. That's if they estimated your bill for 4 million last month and there was good or adequate lights, then the next month you have a few days of light and more days with no light, you still get the same billing. So how is it calculated? That's the question that they haven't been able to answer till today. And now back to those that even have meters. The only good thing about meter, the good thing I see from meters is that at least you pay for what you use, but still, it's still overpriced. And this issue is not even just about the fact that, our generation is poor. That's the megawatts we generate in Nigeria is poor. I think the last time was give or take 5,000 to 6,000 or thereabout.
Right.
The main issue is even the distribution of it.
Which is what the Deputy Governor Hamzat said. He said the distribution has been the problem.
But I think what he even said from the report is he basically said everything. Like the system needs to be checked. This thing is not working. This method of power generation and distribution is not working.
So why do you think that core part of the problem wasn't addressed before we start talking about breaking, our power sector into several bands?
That is the big question. I don't know. From the onset, I didn't see that as a solution. That's not a solution in any way. It's more about the way I see it. It's more about revenue generation for the energy, for the electricity company. Basically, I'm talking about the power generation companies right now, because it's just more about revenue generation for them, because the system was not changed, it was not rechecked, it was not fine-tuned to you get to enhance proper distribution and whatnot. Rather, it's more of you are not giving some set of people more light for more price and giving another band less light for less price. How does that make sense? How is that fair? Other developing nations, I won't even say developed, other developing nations are moving to constant power, for their nation as a whole. We are here still thinking about how one section or one area is going to have more power than the other. That's not a solution, if you ask me.
No, you've been a resident of Lagos State. Do you think this idea of making solar energy obtainable to communities is going to be the best approach into fixing our power issues, given that there are way too many generators and lots of over 5 trillion being spent on fueling these generating sets? Do you think moving towards solar energy, like the Deputy Governor Hamzat stated, would be a better method for electricity network or power, as it were, to be provided for residents in Lagos? Do you think that would even be more affordable for these communities?
Well, I agree. Yes, I think it would be a good idea to to try other things. Decentralizing the energy solutions, how we get power in this country. Now, affordability is another thing, yes, but at least let there be power, basically. I mean, even when God created the earth, it was like, let there be light, let there be power first. And then affordability rather can come in. So solar is there's solar. Let's look at Nigeria now. We are a blessed nation, right? We have diverse culture, diverse regions, diverse climates, if I may put it that way. When I say climates, when you go to the north, you have more tendency to have more, sun. It's quite sunny most times and dry. In the west, the south, you have more rain, just like in rivers. It's raining constantly, currently, rather. So, in the north, you can focus on decentralizing energy solutions into, solar mini grids, doing it maybe state by state.
In a way that it fits that region.
Exactly, in a way it suits that region. You can monitor, you can manage, when it needs to be managed. In the south, you can still stick to hydro, but you can still make it state by state. I just feel like some things that we do in this country that are just one in all, one fits all for everybody. It doesn't fit all, because we can't even manage it. Today you hear that the grid is down. In 3 months, it's down again. Straight, after 7 days, it's down again. It's too much pressure. Why not break it down? Okay, each state should have a grid. Lagos State should have a grid. If it's hydro, fine. If it's solar, fine. But at least it will be easy to manage.
If it's state owned.
Yes, and then we can now talk about affordability. I feel like when there's power, the thing about power that we forget is or I don't know, I don't forget, right? But I feel like our leaders do not think these things deeply sometimes. Sadly, power is life. For a nation, it's development, it's productivity. When you have power, it leads to more, development in almost all the sectors. Right. Investors will begin to come in, businesses will begin to thrive. Then it won't even be a case of affordability anymore, because when it's just going to be a case of doing the math, right? If you're a businessman, okay, I'm paying for this for power, right? And I'm sure I am getting power. Then I can now know how my production works and how to move on from there.
Right. Now, when we look at this report and this complaint made by Deputy Governor Hamzat, you find out that, I mean, this is the Deputy Governor of Lagos State, and for whatever is worth, I mean, he can afford power to some degree. Now, let's bring it back home to middle class earners, people living on the minimum wage. He's able to complain in the sector he's in. People living with minimum wage, I mean, might not be able to afford power given the cost it has become, right? What are your thoughts as regards, do you think this campaign, as it were, for the amplification that they're doing as regards let lights be, power be provided, the solar energy, too many generators, is because now this electricity tariff problem has brought all of us into the same box, and there is no it doesn't look at the power or what social strata of a person. It has brought all of us rather into the same box. Do you think that is why these moves are now being made, given how old Nigeria is and why we are still struggling with power problems?
The is that, like I said, it's very important. When you begin to pay so much for it, you begin to feel it. Now, when we were complaining, like I said, it was like, it was just, again. But now that, I mean, for the DG to say that, Deputy Governor, that means he's feeling it as well. And when you bring in the minimum, we just go to show you the way, because we are just stuck. We are stuck in, how did they say that saying? Just at the wall, basically. Because when you say you want to pay for power that, I mean, I have a meter, I used to pay 5,000. All this band thing, 5,000 would reach me conveniently for 2 months sometimes. I don't have much, I just have basic things and I use efficiently. Now, in 30,000, and that 30,000 is not even enough, right? Wow. So now minimum, assuming I'm living up minimum wage 1,000, I be paid at 7,000. Assuming, quote, and I pay for power 30,000. What's left, right? A power that is not even constant. Then I say, okay, I want to buy half bag of rice. How much a bag of rice now? I have to buy gas. I have to buy, food and whatnot. It's crazy. It's difficult for people out there. So I'm quite. Well, I'm quite happy he mentioned this and putting the figures. I mean, look at the figures.
Right.
Look at we using generators in the country. This is not even healthy for us. Right. We constantly using fumes into the atmosphere, which is not healthy. Over 5.3 billion people, like he mentioned, in Nigeria are using generators. This is it's not good for us. Even as old as we are, just like you said, we should be thinking about making this thing much more available and much more distributed properly, basically.
Thank you.